John Emmett is on, saying good afternoon, or good morning, good evening, wherever the foesy are in the world. Friends of Sailing Illustrated. Michael Frank. Hi, Michael. I haven't seen you in a while. Happy Friday to you, sir. Good evening from Denmark. Gordon Smith is saying, Gordon, thank you for helping me with the one segment today. Graham Sweeney, good evening from Mid-Yell in Scotland, way up there to the north. Jonathan Frank down in Galveston, Galveston. Joe Holzman, rock and roll. From Estes. Hey, Joe, I hear that our friend, former Custom Flex owner, passed away this morning. Just a sad note there for Joe Holtzman. He'll know who I'm talking about. Julie Ahrens in sunny and warm Cleveland.
No
Pedro
kidding.
Foiling Sailor down in Australia. Sydney, good eye to you, sir. Let's get this one across the line. Everybody, welcome to show number 621, Friday. It's Friday again, May 26th. It's the start of our kind of long weekend here, the unofficial start to summer in the U.S. of A. Memorial Day weekend. Monday, there'll be some parades and some barbecues celebrating those who defended this great country and all of us somewhere in the world over the now many years, 50 plus years. And lots of folks checking in. Good day, Tom and Julia checking in from Hobart. Alistair Murray must be down there talking to his Hobart State Federation. Peter Taylor in New York City. And lots of others here as we get going. Barry Pickthall. Hi, Barry. Long time cruising in the Scottish Western Isles.
Amazing.
That sounds like fun, doesn't it, Julia?
It does.
Warren Chaucer in Brisbane. Also in Australia. We got them on opposite, the Antipodes, Julia, on either side of the planet.
Yes.
For the start of this one, and let's get this one well and truly underway. I put her up. Do you know who that is? What has happened since our show on Tuesday?
I know who that is.
Who is it?
Tina Turner.
No, it's not.
Oh, no, that's the one who took her place.
No, it's not. It's Anna Mae Bullock,
Yeah.
who was born in the States, moved to Switzerland. Mary Jude Szymanski probably knows. She's on. From Philadelphia, Ted Ryman down in Cape Town. You're right, I'm teasing. It's AKA
Yeah.
Tina Turner,
Yeah.
the Queen of Rock. Ted Ryman knew it. Why is Memorial Day in mid-May? Is it an anniversary? Hamish, I'm not sure why.
It's the last Monday in May.
Well, it used to be the 20-something and then they moved it to Monday.
It used to be the 30th.
The 30th, that was it. You're right, well done. And then it got moved to the last Monday of May, you're right. When whatever that act was, it made a bunch of holidays fall on Mondays here.
So we had,
Bill Wingrove's checking out. I got to set the spinnaker at Southwest 1 and head home. Okay, he must be out sailing. Have a good sail, Bill, down in Tampa, Florida. 11th hour, hit something again. Did they, Jonathan? Since yesterday? Let's stick with this, though, since our last show, the sad death of Tina Turner, having sold over 100 million records worldwide. Turner is one of the best-selling record artists of all time. She received 12 Grammy Awards, which include 8, this was a good point, good factoid, which include 8 competitive awards, not just honorary awards and so on.
Mm-hmm.
Competitive awards, 3 Grammy Hall of Fame awards and a Grammy Lifetime Achievement. She was the first Black artist and the first woman to be on the cover of that famously cool magazine, Rolling Stone. Rolling Stone ranked her among the 100 greatest artists of all time and the 100 greatest singers of all time. She is a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame and on the St. Louis Walk of Fame. She was from that corner of the country, originally moved there as a kid. She was twice inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame with Ike Turner in 91, her famously abusive husband, and as her first husband, and as a solo artist in 2021. Think about that, 91, 01, 11, 30 years later. She was also a 2005 recipient of the Kennedy Center Honors and Woman of the Year Award. So you got to celebrate her passing, right? Because she was something Amazing.
Absolutely.
Did you like her? Did you like her music?
I did. I wasn't the world's best fan of her, but you could never just sit still and listen to her.
Exactly, especially when she sang Proud Mary, which was a CCR, Creedence Clearwater revival original song. Oh, who was that? Fogerty wrote that? John Fogerty? John Fogerty was his name. So here she is on her 50th anniversary tour in Great Britain, and here she is singing that a fabulous song. I mean, every time it came on, you just knew when it picked up speed and went to double time or triple time even toward the end,
Yeah.
singing Proud Mary in Arnhem, Denmark in 2009. You probably know the lyrics by heart. Cleaned a lot of plates in Memphis, pumped a lot of tane, I guess that means octane, down in New Orleans. But I never saw the good side of the city until I hitched a ride on a riverboat queen. Okay, you know that big wheel keep on turning. Proud Mary keep on burning, and we're rolling, 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 rolling down the river. Okay, you get the idea.
Yeah.
So I did not know, Julia, that there was and still playing, there was the Broadway show. It opened at the Aldwych Theatre in London, actually, back some years ago, 2018. It's a jukebox musical, which I don't. Do you know that expression?
No, I don't.
Jukebox
No.
musical.
It's a good one.
It is good one. A jukebox musical opened at the Aldwych in 2018, depicting her life from her humble beginnings in Nutbush. What a great
Isn't
name!
that-
Nutbush, Tennessee, to her transformation into a rock and roll star. And it played at the Aldwych Theatre in London. The Broadway production opened in November 2019. And for extra credit, Julia, it is playing here almost the entire, look at that, the entire month of August, 1 through the 27th of August, here at the Golden Gate Theatre in San Francisco. So it's playing all over the place. Yeah, Hamish Ross, Nutbush City Limits. So I ask you, this famous lady who grew up in the States, moved to St. Louis, and then moved to the shores of, you know where she went in Switzerland? Do you know what lake on the shores of what lake?
Not Geneva.
No. But I ask you because it was Lake Zurich. And she had to learn German to become a Swiss citizen, which she did. She renounced her American citizenship. So I ask you, living on Lake Zurich, is it true? Is it correct or Croutonic that A, she called herself a Baptist Buddhist and a keen racing sailor? No, Gordon Smith, Lake Zurich. Stingray loves music, simply the best. He probably plays her music on the guitar.
Yeah.
Correct or Croutonic? Baptist Buddhist and keen racing sailor. The queen of rock and roll, John.
It's a
Evans.
lovely combination.
Look at that beautiful lake. That's, it's not nearly as big as Lake Geneva. Zurich, I love Zurich. You fly through there. We used to fly through there all the time getting to home.
Yeah.
To Valencia. The queen of rock and roll. Is it correct or Croutonic? She called herself a Baptist Buddhist, but as far as I know, she never called herself a keen racing sailor. So
I was going to say, I never heard that. But
she lived at her home was called the Villa Algonquin, which is the Native American, the Indian tribe up my part of the world, Michigan. In fact, I grew up on Algonquin Lane or Algonquin Street Road at Portage Lake, and this is her Villa Algonquin, where this week fans and others are leaving tributes to the Queen of Rock, Tina Turner. Born in the U.S., ended up in Switzerland, 1939 to 2023. May she rest in peace. Julia, you remember this when we played this on the show on Tuesday about the British couple who was sailing off the coast of Morocco when they were banged into by orca whales? The mammals started bumping the boat, an attack which continued for an hour. This courtesy of the Telegraph.
Yeah.
Went on, and this is one of several incidents in the same area. And it's west of Gibraltar. A vengeful killer whale called Gladys is apparently leading gangs of orcas to crash into sailboat rudders. Researchers believe that a female, this white Gladys, has been hell-bent on revenge after being traumatized by a collision with a boat or being trapped in an illegal fishing net. Who knows? but we may know next Tuesday. I'll tell you why in a moment. Gladys's natural attacks are now being copied by the rest of the killer whale population, or so the Telegraph asserts. I'm not sure I would want to be sailing in those waters and have that
Come up.
come up and start attacking my rudder.
No?
And one of the questions is, do they like a boat of a particular colored bottom? I know Rick Bannerow asked me that this morning, and other questions. Well, this story has continued. This was in a story published by Reuters yesterday. Killer whales wreck boat in the latest attack off Spain. This is a story from Madrid. Killer whale severely damaged a sailing boat off the coast of southern Spain, the local maritime rescue service said on Thursday, adding to dozens of orca attacks on vessels recorded so far this year on Spanish and Portuguese coasts. Again, I'm told this is out in the Atlantic side of Gibraltar, not in the Med, and the reason is that the orcas are chasing the tuna to eat them, apparently, or whatever they're eating is they're chasing them. Now, I'm pleased to report that since that story that we ran it on Tuesday, I was contacted by a longtime friend, Louisa Smith, who is the PR for the Cruising Association in the UK, and John Burbeck, who is their Orca Project team lead and has been studying this, the orca behavior, interaction data, and analysis reporting. They are really fully the best, we think, in the world at doing this. I'm pleased to report that next Tuesday, show number 622, John, Mr. Burbeck, will be our live guest.
Oh, good.
From the UK. So what do you think of that?
I think that's terrific.
And again, that's thanks to Louisa Smith, who I know from US. Is her name spelled wrong in that slide? It's supposed to be Luissa. I apologize, Louisa. Even I know how to spell your name. Louisa was the longtime friend, because she was on the staff of IYRU, or maybe it was ISAF by then. And thank you for contacting me, and thank you for putting me in touch with John Burbeck. Mr. Burbeck will be our guest on Tuesday at the top of the show, next Tuesday's show, number 622. Now, is that cool or what?
That's cool. It is.
And so get your questions ready. You can watch it in replay as well, but it'll be fun to do it live. And he's been doing webinars and has done other similar. I've got his slide deck. I haven't had time to look at it. Louisa sent it to me this morning. But we're going to have the whole enchilada here, I think, on this come next Tuesday for Tuesday's show. In the meantime, do you know, Julia, what day it is today? Here's your first clue.
I forgot to look.
What day is today? It's a world holiday. Well, holiday. That is Paul Goodison, the famously good sailor, double Olympic medalist and world champion and multiple world champion in the moth class. That's your first clue. Goody.
Redhead Day.
Redhead's Day. Look at the Smith's got it. Emmett's got it. And I believe Tom might know the bar there. I wonder what bar he's talking about. Here's your second clue. Tom Slingsby from Australia. Mm-hmm. Here is what to be your third clue. Jimmy Spithill from Oz.
Yeah.
And great scarf, Julia.
Oh, thank you.
That's the International Maxi Association. So that, I assume, on Facebook, that must be Andrew McIrvin. But maybe it's James Boyd. And James, no, I haven't gotten, if that is James, I haven't gotten a book yet. Thank you for asking. So Jimmy Spithill, those were all famously cool sailors who are also famous redheads, because today is World Redhead Day. I had no idea such a thing existed, but every 26th of May, it is World Redhead Day. It's celebrated. It's a day set aside to celebrate everyone who has natural red hair. Do you know how you can tell if somebody has natural red hair or not?
Looking at the roots.
No.
It's easy.
I guess you can look at the roots, but you can look at other things too. And apparently, if you have red hair, you are considered a part of a unique group, because less than 2% of the, I didn't know this, world's population is born with naturally red hair. Red hair is more common and appears with greater frequency, between 2 and 6%, among those of Northern European descent. Mm-hmm. Red hair gets its color from high levels of pheomelanin, I guess, pheomelanin, and low levels of the dark pigment. How do you say that? Melanin.
Yeah.
Eumelanin. I don't know how to say that. Somebody will correct me. Where's Harry? Ted Ryman wants to know why we don't have Prince Harry. I have Prince Harry in the slides.
In the can.
And the WTF at the end.
Yeah.
Apropos redheads, I think.
Yeah.
I have a joke about him because it is World Redhead Day. Now, for honorable mention, do you know who has a naturally red beard before it went gray?
Oh, yes.
I heard from, I actually pinged John this morning. I said, who else has red hair? He's the one who reminded me about Goody. I knew about Jimmy and Tommy, but he said that John, had a red beard before it went gray. And he sent some photos of it being shaved off down in Perth in WA when this picture was taken. That's in Perth in Western Australia, 2011, just before the laser whirls of things. Thanks, John.
That's a nice picture, though.
It is a nice picture.
Yeah.
And I don't know if other folks on here can think of people who have red hair. And Stingette has a huge head of, that's Stingray's girlfriend partner. And I'm wondering if red hair, there's something about red hair and being a world class. I mean, Spit Hill and these guys, Goody, and they're famously good.
Right. And I didn't
world
really
class
know
sailors.
that they were redheads before.
Oh, yeah. My daughter, Gordon Smith says, has fabulous red hair. My dad has a red beard like Emmett. And my beard's a little reddish as well, but not much. Red beard, the pirate, is John F. Okay, enough about redheads.
I had red hair when
Slingsby,
when I was little.
we mentioned Tom. Chris, actually, thank you for that. So we've got, is that you melanin? Yes, it's my melanin. Insert rim shot here. Okay, Clark Chapin, the dread pirate, red beard, Emmett. Now with this, it is all of you who have red hair, or friends who have red hair, I guess, happy redhead day.
Yeah.
John Emmett, including for your beard. So let's, speaking of John Emmett, get into his segment here in the B block. Coach's Corner, Super Fozy John Emmett from GBR with his report from high atop the harbor in Portsmouth.
Hi, Tom, Julia, and all the Fozy, and welcome to any new people to the show. If this is your first show, please remember to hit that bell so you get the notifications, and you can join us live virtually twice a week, all year round. So today I'm in Portland. For those people who don't know, there's Portland, UK. I actually live in Weymouth, so we come for a little walk and talk, Lily, myself, and this, I thought, very nice, beautiful spot with Portland Harbour in the background, which is now going to be hosting the Moth World Championships and also Open National Championships in the very near future. So again, you catch us on a day off. And I was just really thinking about the ocean, because it's something that to a certain extent we all use, even non-sailors. I mean, that's where a large quantity of our food source comes, but nobody's directly responsible for it. So the environment, it's really important we think about, plastics in the ocean or other things going on, or overfishing, and it's something we really need to look after. And we're only really beginning to be aware of some of the environmental problems we have, and I think there's always going to be this sort of cost implication of looking after our environment, but just to have a nice place to live and clean air to breathe and all the rest of it, it's so important when you look at, we've had pollution in cities and stuff like this. So I just love coming here and going for a walk in the proper countryside. And I realised recently, I was very lucky to grow up in a farm and to have all that outdoor space. And I'm sure that's one of the reasons I enjoy sailing, to have that freedom out on the open water. And I find it hard with a lot of the modern children, where it's like an Xbox generation or a TikTok generation, and there's a lot of time spent on electrical devices and this sort of short stuff. And this is possibly why I'm still just doing 3 to 5 minute talks now. This short stuff really affects people's attention span, because the way the brain works, we only actually have a a small amount of the information is presented to us. Otherwise, all the things going on will be overwhelmed. That's why you can really easily miss a big sign somewhere because you weren't paying attention to it. But your brain did see it and your subconscious did recognize it. And, that's why you have a lot of problems sleeping. If you've had all this micro content on and on and on and on and on, just playing with your phone before bed, and then when it's time to relax and switch off, it's really hard. But this environment, it's such an important thing. I'm not only talking about clean air to breathe and all the rest of it. I'm talking about taking exercise, looking after your body. And I think sailing, of course, I'm very biased. It's a sport that ticks all those boxes. And, for people who come from an inner city, perhaps it's not as easy. And, I moved to Weymouth because that's exactly where I wanted to be. And it's our job to promote sport. And I say sport, not just sailing, to a wide audience because it's such a healthy and important activity to do. I don't just mean physically, because as we get older, there's a very strong link between the longevity as well as quality of life by how much muscle strength you've got. I mean, that's simple. The function of the muscles not only means that we're not going to fall over and break our hip, it also means that the substances produced within the muscles which are good for our quality of life. And, the modern generation, if people are inactive and the sort of bad habits, it's something that sailing takes us away from. And we see these trends, maybe people are less smoking, but people are vaping. And surely it's common sense that nothing should go in your lungs other than, clean, fresh air. And that, for me, is what sailing all about. So I'm up here on Portland, enjoying the view. And for sure, I'm going to be down there sailing around in the very near future. And I hope you all have a wonderful weekend too.
Thank you, John Emmett. And I was shaking my finger at Julia because he was saying, no screens before bed. If you have trouble sleeping, I keep trying to tell Julia, put your computer away, put your phone away.
It's the only way I can go to sleep.
Well, then you leave the TV on, too.
Well, if everything's working, it goes off.
Okay.
In half an hour.
Great advice about clean air and all. Stingray is saying, nice and thoughtful vlog, John Emmett. He didn't fall over that steep decline behind him. Ted Ryman observing that Dorset's one of the nicest counties in the UK. Good move, John. Did I say Portsmouth? I meant Portland, of course. I'm going to show you some maps. Julie Aarons, we must all stop using plastic bottles for sure. Start recycling glass bottles again. Most baby boomers remember glass bottles of milk being delivered and recycled as children. Indeed, we do. Lots of other great comments. Eddie Trevelyan is on. I want to welcome Eddie, who's an Olympic gold medalist with Robbie Haynes, right? Eddie? Did I have that right? From bloody hell, what year? 84, I think. Speaking of Portland Harbor, for those of you who are geographically challenged, you can see the Isle of Wight here, and Cowes up here on top, and the Solent, of course, Leamington, Portsmouth, Bournemouth, all the way over here to Portland, and their National Sailing Center there, and that's where John is. And he was up on the cliffs. I've actually, we'll zoom in here a bit, and he was right up on the cliff on the Isle of Portland, overlooking Portland Harbor, which is indeed the venue for the Moth Worlds, 7th through the 18th of June. We'll be covering that, and here is a bit of a tease. I'll be there. Will you, Julia? I won't be there.
No.
But John Emmett will be there, and I hope and expect John will be giving us some reports, some updates. We'll look forward to that. The 2023 Moth Worlds at their sailing center there, and we're looking forward to hearing more about that from John Emmett. Get to the front of the fleet. He is so reliable and so good. I think people today more than ever enjoyed his report. Jonathan Frank No relation to Benjamin Franklin. Jonathan Frank saying, outstanding report. Yes, keep moving. John Emmett, get to the front of the fleet. And he likes to say, Julia?
Like, follow, and share. Spread the good news.
Indeed. And we appreciate John very much indeed getting us off to a good start. Speaking of which, boy, the last 24, 36 hours have been pretty eventful in the ocean race. They left Newport, as you know, on Sunday, the 21st, the last Sunday. And they're well over to Aarhus. They've had a real fast run here on leg 5. It's an eventful, has been, continues to be an eventful 3,500 nautical mile leg. It looks like they're going to finish on Monday. And I'm going to start rather than end with Clark Chapin's chart. So you can see the average speed that these boats, at least the leader, has maintained. The lead has just changed, by the way. And they have been averaging 20 knots total, including of late, up over 25 knots until this morning. Started to slow down a bit. And that, of course, that leader was 11th Hour Racing, but they've now been overtaken by Holcim-PRB. Thanks, Clark Chapin, for this slide as well. And you can see at the top there where Holcim-PRB and 11th Hour's tracks. The red track was 11th Hour, and now Holcim-PRB, they've merged, and indeed, Holcim-PRB has taken a slim lead over 11th Hour in just this morning. So thanks, Clark, for those charts. Bravo Zulu to Holcim-PRB, because they have just done an amazing job in breaking the record. But first, you've got to also give some credit to 11th Hour Racing, who have managed to stay in the race after hitting, they guess, it was not quite sure. They think it was a whale. It was some kind of a mammal. But here's the report. 11th Hour Racing has activated, this was what we woke up to yesterday morning, here on the West Coast at least. 11th Hour Racing has activated its hazard warning to alert the race control that they hit something. And that was at 15:41 yesterday UTC, while racing on Lake 5 of the ocean race, approximately 750 nautical miles off the coast of Newfoundland, sailing at 29 knots. In 28-plus knots of wind. 11th Hour Racing reported hitting something suspected to be a marine mammal. The impact caused 2 crew injuries on board. I mean, you can imagine, Julia, what it's like when you're going along at 30 knots and all of a sudden you hit something.
Yeah.
It's like running into a brick wall, and
Absolutely.
everything keeps in the boat keeps going, which is why you sleep with your feet forward if you are able to sleep. Mm-hmm. So that was the impact yesterday, causing 2 crew injuries on board. Trimmer Charlie Dalin from France has a suspected mild concussion, and media crew member Amory Ross has injured his shoulder. So we hope they're doing okay. Apparently they are. The 3 other sailors on board were uninjured, or at least not badly injured. The race doctor is, of course, on the horn with them, is on the radio, and is prescribing, dealing with the injuries.
Yeah.
And apparently they're able to continue racing. They're shorthanded.
Yes.
Shorthanded. So it's probably no surprise that Holcim-PRB has overtaken them. And we hope they're okay, and we hope they can continue to Aarhus in one piece. Speaking of Holcim-PRB, this courtesy of Tip and Shaft this morning, picture of the week by, that's their OBR, Jan Ryu. The fleet that left Newport last Sunday for the 5th leg of the ocean race bound for Aarhus, and between Thursday and Friday saw the Speedos burning red hot. Holcim-PRB thus set an absolute record for 24 hours in an IMOCA and also in any monohull.
Wow.
With 640.91 nautical miles, nearly 641 nautical miles covered, 45 more than its previous record on the 3rd leg, and 22 more than Comanche, which had held the outright monohull record since 2015.
Wow.
The crew, led by Kevin Escoffier, is neck and neck this Friday with 11th Hour Racing. They've now passed them, as we told you. Charlie Enright on 11th Hour Racing, which on Thursday hit a marine mammal, resulting, as we told you, in minor injuries for Charlie Dalin and media man Amory Ross. So you can follow that race, of course, lots of places, but also on Tip and Shaft, that famously good newsletter that comes out from France every Friday. It's free. Tipandshaft.com, I think it is. Go on and you can get it for yourselves in your email inbox every Friday, at least morning, our time. Here is the race report from today from the Ocean Race. High mileage runs for the leading boats on leg 5 of the Ocean Race is the subhead there.
And it really is.
It really is astonishing. 11th hour, and of course, Holcim-PRB fighting for the lead. Great drone footage from Holcim. There's you talk about a selfie holding the stick out there from Biotherm. The 11th hour racing team set the record first with a 24-hour run. This was an Amoca record of more than 620 nautical miles. Their run was hampered by a collision with a suspected marine mammal. The 2 crew members had minor injuries and no reported damage to the boat. Next up for the record was Team Holcim-PRB, who had been able to capitalize on the near-perfect conditions and shatter all existing records with a run of just more than 640 nautical miles in 24 hours.
C'est un bon bateau, quoi. Ouais, je suis content. Non, franchement, je suis très content. C'est pas tous les jours.
Scafia, yes, I'm very happy we get to do this, talking about the record. It's not over yet. It's going to get even better in the next hour. This is before they set that 24-hour final record. After what happened, we don't know what's going to happen next. Talking about his dismasting in the South Atlantic. I think it's a nice reward for the whole team, you know?
Yeah.
It's another story for Biotherm, who are in different conditions, going fast but not record-breaking fast, and feeling the cold. There he is with his selfie stick again. Less than 1,500 nautical miles to the finish in Aarhus for the leaders, likely to finish on the 29th, which of course is Monday.
I can remember celebrating going more than 100 miles in 24.
Well, exactly. Amazing stuff, the Ocean Race. Let's look at the charts, at the tracker. This is not live, but from about an hour and a half ago, you can see Holcim-PRB had taken the lead. Several of you pinged me when this happened. Thank you. And let's go in closer. You can see that the distance, the leader now, for 11th hour racing, they've dropped back 3 nautical miles. They've lost 1.6 nautical miles in that 1 hour period. This was some hours ago. It's 1800 UTC, and it's now 2033 UTC. Team Alicia in third, 47, almost 48 miles back. Biotherm way back, 473 nautical miles. And of course, Geo Environment, Team Europe, did not start. And they are on a ship, however, heading to Europe. And one hears this morning from a couple sources that there's been a tremendous effort, and it continues, and they're likely to rejoin the race.
Wouldn't that be good for them?
And if not in Aarhus, then at the next stop after that. So we sure hope they're going to make it. We're cheering for them, and Bravo Zulu to them as well. So that's the update. Now, this next segment, it's another correct or croutonic. Actually, it's our first correct or croutonic. Speaking of transatlantic racing, I ask you if this gentleman is correct or croutonic in making his effort. We think he's going to leave Newfoundland tomorrow. This is the boat that he is sailing. It's a meter long, maybe a little longer if you count the rudder. Gang, it's got a little rudder thing hanging off the back of the boat. His name is Andrew Bedwell, and he'll set off, it says in May, in an article from a week or so ago, from St. John's in Newfoundland to complete the 1,900 nautical mile crossing to Lizard Point, Cornwall. He thinks it'll take 2 to 3 months, is what I'm seeing, and earning the title of, quote, the smallest sailing vessel to cross the Atlantic. And we're going to tell you more, and then you be thinking about whether this is in fact correct or croutonic.
Hi, it's Theo Stocker for Yachting Monthly, and I'm at the Southampton Boat Show.
This is from
And I'm
September.
wandering around, and I have found this wonderful little boat. This is the Big C, and this is Andrew Bedwell's little boat. She's possibly the smallest yacht you'll ever come across. She's 3 foot 3 inches long, so just over 1 metre, and he is planning to set the record for sailing across the Atlantic, and his route will take him from Newfoundland to Falmouth in England, hopefully. Let's have a look around and he can show us quite how this bonkers little boat really works.
So my name's Andrew Bedwell and my boat's Big C. So what I've always wanted to do and I've always done is lots of challenges. I've taken small boats, not this small, but quite small, up into the Arctic, towards Greenland, Denmark, straight back to the UK solo. And so what I've now done is I've decided to do this, probably the biggest challenge, but being the smallest one. So the Atlantic is a huge challenge, and in the smallest vessel, just to push it that little bit harder. So that's what we've done. We've built it, designed it, built it, and now it's ready. It's been sea trialled, and we're getting out in the water again soon. Right, so she's just over 1 metre long. So the current world record is 1.63 metres, and what we've decided to do is to really beat that record and go for it. So this is just over 1 metre, so we are losing about 50-60 centimetres off the boat length of the boat. Obviously, beforehand records have been done and they've gone in half-inch increments, so this will actually do it by half a metre. No point messing about. Best of British, let's do it properly. And so that's what we've done. It's shorter, just over 1 metre to break that record. At the moment, she's about 450 kilos, but we're just moving some weight around. So we've got another keel going on the bottom just to take it the weight further forward and to just give it a fraction more draft. It's only
Okay, enough of this. I mean, we're going to show you some more because it becomes, well, more interesting, shall we say, or bizarre. There's comments flowing in here. They're talking still back on that speed record, 640 miles. Yeah, that's a good point that a couple of you made. That's a Bermuda racer. That's Sydney Hobart in a day. Clark Chapin is replying to Gordon Smith saying, how fast is that in British unit of speed, furlongs per fortnight? Yeah, Jody Shields, a Sydney to Hobart in 1 day. By the way, earlier, Jody Shields reminded us that Nate Outeridge, when he had hair, was a redhead.
Yeah.
There must be something about redheads and being great sailors.
Yep, must be.
Must be. More comments back and forth. Foiling contain absolutely correct. Okay. Croutonic, Andrew McUrban saying, but slightly less crazy than rowing across. Yeah, there's some rower crossing the Pacific right now, isn't there?
Yes.
I've been following this story for some months. He is, Gordon Smith said, thought you didn't want to be quoted. Gordon is, in my humble opinion, he is nuts. It's 1 meter. Yeah, 1 meter plus. I think it's 140 centimeters, something like that. An orca could eat that little boat, Clark Chapin is saying. Okay, well, this guy he's showing us the boat, the Big C Atlantic Challenge, it's called. Well, I thought this was last September at the Southampton Boat Show, and I could be confused for a channel marker, Jonathan Frank says.
Mm-hmm.
But so many good comments. Where is the head located? Joe Holtzman asked the key question, and we're going to get to that here in a moment. See that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm going to cut off that video and now show you what the thing looks like on the water.
Is we've got this line that's only temporary, but that controls the rudder. If I lean right forward, you can see the rudder out to the stern. Obviously that's going to be fed inboard so I can steer from inside. What we're also just trying out is to get more onto a beam reach. We're putting the sail, obviously mainly designed to go downwind, but we bring it in this side to the starboard side, and what we're doing is
Look
shooting
at
out
that!
these aft
It's a cork in the ocean.
Quickly and easy release out and put back into the normal configuration, and that will allow us to go obviously more on a reach. The boat is designed for primarily downwind, but obviously we're going to need to go on a reach. The sheets are all controllable from inside, so cheek block onto the sheet, pull it tight, and then we've got, it's not an ideal setup by any stretch of imagination, obviously the mast and everything gets in the way, but it will help us on a bit of a beat.
Jody is saying this was filmed in his pool. That's just astonishing.
Obviously, we can furl the sand, as you can see anyway, but we can furl it into most travelling.
I wonder if Andrew McIrvin could rate this boat, especially with that rudder gantry hanging off the back end.
I was always marveled at. There have been several Japanese sailors who've gone from Japan to San Francisco rowing.
I don't know what's more crazy. But this is the boat. That's what it looks like. Now, here's some more info, and I'm going to answer Joe Holtzman's question, too, about the head. The Big C is made of carbon fiber, weighs, the guy said, he's not a kid, weighs 600 kilograms and is only 140 centimeters long. I guess that's LOA, counting the bowsprit and the rudder. What do you call that, a gantry, rudder gantry? In short, there is enough space for him to sit, but not to stretch his legs. Rest that seems even smaller than in an armchair. Bidwell estimates that his record search will take 60 to 90 days as the boat moves at only 4.7 kilometers per hour. And if he goes that fast, I think he'll be lucky. There's some more here. These are items on board. I've cut extract from this article. These are items such as tracking system, automatic, AIS, VHF radio, a dedicated compass, 2 rudders, and a hand-pumped desalination unit. However, Joe Holtzman, due to the very small size of the Big C, there is no bathroom. And toilet paper will not be taken on the boat. Julia.
Yes.
That's, in Michigan, we used to use leaves when we were out in the forest, right? There's a bear, what, in the woods. Mm-hmm. I don't know what this is all about. Okay, now, you want to know what he's going to eat?
No.
Huh? I hope he's not eating off that same hand that he's wiping. But here's a look at what he's going to eat. Video from yesterday.
We've melted the fat
in Newfoundland
into the beef jerky.
Beef jerky.
Now, I'm not going to touch it. Don't want to get any chance of any contamination from anything. So that's basically the fat mixed in with the beef jerky and the raisins and a few very special medicinal things. Then what Keith's doing, he can't see because he's doing the filming. What we're then doing is we're weighing the food into about 240 gram bags, and then they're coming along, being vacuum packed. Obviously, some of them have got little lumps in like that, so we're then squashing them all flat, because obviously that's going to fit in the boat the best.
Mm-hmm.
I've got no undone this. Trimming off any excess, just don't want any excess in there. And then we've got, there we are. So we've got those, like for example, we've written some notes. It's a good day, 264 grams in that one. So I'll be eating 2 of those a day. So there is a day's rations. Fancy that? Fancy that, do you? There it is.
90 days of eating 2 of those a day. He must have something else. He must have some things. But there's not a lot of room for storage in that boat.
I don't think so.
Well, here he is. Is this correct or croutonic? And I guess we could also ask, do you think he'll make it, this 3,000 plus kilometer transatlantic sail, in a 140 centimeter boat? And thanks to Gordon Smith for keeping me posted on this story and encouraging. Apparently, he's going to leave Newfoundland, or try to. He's got to look at the weather. But after 3 months, who's going to look at a particular weather window?
Yeah.
It's, June. You got to June, July, August. You got to get going while the North Atlantic is reasonably warm and not too unfriendly. So is it correct or croutonic? Baton Rouge says he won't survive. Gordon, and he also says he will turtle. Mm-hmm. Gordon Smith said it was the rest of my thoughts about the project that I felt it was not necessary to share. Pedro Foiling Sailor down in Oz saying, Mad Dogs and Englishmen, is it the lack of sun, Andrew? And I don't know if he's talking to Pindar or which Andrew he's talking to. But I am fearful, Gordon Smith. This video is filmed, back and forth. Yeah, I hope the orcas don't find him either. Peter Taylor. Jack saying, "Hi, Jack. Nothing more than a bath toy that one would let their kids play with." Good point, Jack. Can you imagine if John Emmett headed out into the Atlantic on that thing? Yeah, we'd be, well, we'd knock some sense into him. He's cheating. The rudder is on a gantry. This could sail in the moth worlds and be class legal. Pedro fighting. Jody Shields, it's a smarty trying to identify as a boat. Now, that's a good, clever comment.
Mm-hmm.
He'll get there by the currents, whether or not there is any. Yeah, he's going to get out in the Gulf Stream and bob along, I think. The rudder, Gordon Smith says the rudder gantry had to come off. There was a debate about if it added to the boat length. Well, we'll get Andrew McIrvin to make an official ruling on that. Same speed as an Ilka, 6 upwind, give or take. This guy, Jonathan Frank, says is dead. Well, Jonathan, if you're flying your 777s across the Atlantic anytime soon, you can look down and see if you can find his AIS. Yikes, 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 Joe Holtzman. Oh, my goodness. A lot of comments. Peter hopes the Queen Mary finds him. Oh, my God. I don't think leaves will work well. Stingray. Scurvy beckons. Well, he's got probably some vitamin C in those freeze-dried
And D.
meat packs, and D, and who knows what else. This bloke has obviously got huge testicles. And Jody worked in a testicles comment, Julia.
Yes.
You see that?
I read it earlier, yes.
Jonathan Frank, how much preparation H is he bringing along? He's on the spectrum for sure someplace. Do I have to read these other comments? For 90 days, that's 45 kilograms of food, or about 100 pounds of food. Clark Chapin, the engineer, always comes up with these interesting factoids. How many letters or words are there in an insanity, Julie? Aaron's asking. Yeah, okay, well, to keep the correct buoyancy, he will replace the food eaten with bags of water. I think most of you agree with me, and I think, Julie, you would agree this is not correct.
No.
Not correct. But what was correct was this day in history. 26th of May, 1927. Do you know what happened?
27.
I'll bet you Joe Holtzman knows. He used to work for Ford.
Yeah.
And it was on this day that the Tin Lizzie, here's the 1925 version of the Ford Model T touring car. And on this day in 1927, production ceased of what was the most successful automobile up till probably the Toyota Camry now. Model T was an automobile produced by the Fomoco from October 1st, 1908 to, I didn't realize it was produced that long.
Yeah.
Till May 20, you said yes, like you knew. Did you ever drive one of those?
I sat in one.
You sat in one in a
yeah.
What do you call those? Classic cars.
Yeah.
So it was generally regarded as the first affordable automobile which made car travel available to middle-class Americans and inspired others. The relatively low price was partly the result of Ford's efficient fabrication, including assembly line production instead of individual handcrafting. The Tin Lizzie, the Leaping Lena, or the Flivver. On this day in history, the 26th of May, the last Model T rolled off Henry Ford's.
The 15th million.
15th million, yes, indeed. Hard to believe. 15 million cars. Any color, Jonathan Frank says, as long as it's black. Yeah, Clark Chapin also got it. He being Gordon Graham Sweeney got it. Yeah, it's Model T, not the Model A, the Model T. My neighbor has a green and black Model A in his garage. That thing is gorgeous, Stingray says. Okay, well, I hope it's only that he's got in his garage up there in Seattle. Let's look into the America's Cup, and you will see in our AC37 Cup date a couple of interesting developments. First of all, Alinghi on Wednesday christened their AC40, the boat that will be used in the youth and the women's. Look at the foils here on this boat. Everybody seems to be going to these flat, very flat foils. We've seen that on any number of the boats, the AC40s, the LEQ12s, even the big Alinghi's and American Magic have been testing these foils on their big boats. Alinghi Red Bull sailed their AC-40 after it was officially christened. Do you know who that is there in the middle of that shot, Julia?
No.
Top match racer and Sail GP helmsman Phil Robertson made a second visit to the team, this time dressed in Alinghi Red Bull racing uniform, but he stayed on the team tender. He has not been in a boat yet, but I think the fact that Phil Robertson is showing up, and I think Hamish Ross would agree with me. It's Saturday morning down there, Hamish, so I don't know if you're coffeeed up yet in Auckland. What time is it? 8:50. Yeah, he's fully at it. And I don't want to put words in your mouth or in Brad Butterworth's mouth, your co-owner of your famously cool classic yacht. But Brad, I think, is quite high on Alinghi. And I saw Brad Butterworth, Julia, quoted in an article somewhere saying, "This is not a kick the tires. Let's see how to learn these boats and see it's and then maybe go around next time." This is like Alinghi's first effort in 2003, which, remember, Alinghi is the only challenger to win on their first attempt in the history of the Cup.
Right.
And I don't count these guys out, because they will be good. And they're making cool, smart steps. I also think that New York Yacht Club's American Magic is going to be pretty good too. Also on Wednesday, this is a cool photo, maybe the coolest photo we have in the show today. This is Ineos Britannia's LEQ12. Their custom 40-footer in Palma with those J-boats in the background. This is a note that came out this morning in fact, it led Tip and Shaft, and I commend again that newsletter, newsletter to you. 3 of the 6 Cup challengers are in the 69F class. It's become popular with Cup challengers. Indeed, 3 of them have chosen this Foiling One design platform to train and or select their female and youth crews who will represent their colors in Barcelona in a year and a half's time. American Magic, of course, but also Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli. 2 of the 3 crews of the Italian Challenger have finished on the podium, including the winners of the Act 2 of the Youth Foiling Gold Cup at La Grande Mata. Also competing this year in a few 69F events is Orient Express Racing, the French America's Cup team, which doesn't have a snowball's chance in hell, at least not in the main event. But with a crew branded Team France, they may be okay in the women's or the youth events. Let's see. Also, the Dutch team, which is not a challenger in the AC, but is one of the 12 teams in the youth and the women's, a Dutch from Dutch Sail, who dominated the first 2 seasons of the Youth Foiling Gold Cup, are entered into the Women and Youth America's Cups, and they've been sailing in this class as well. So that's kind of a cool note from the America's Cup, don't you think?
Yeah, I think those may be very interesting.
Okay, Julian, I promised you a little bit shorter show today. Let's go to the comments. We're almost to the last leg here. Phil Robertson, Stingray is saying, yep, indeed, Phil Robertson. If the Kiwis sailed for 24 hours on the AC-40, they would do 1368 nautical miles. Now that is smoking. Yeah, they've been going north of 50 knots, but doing that consistently, I think, Jody, would be a bit of a stretch. Mm-hmm. That's an interesting point. See that? Clark's point, hanging on to the Model T for so long almost drove Ford to ruin. By that time, other manufacturers were offering cars with many more features. Clark, of course, a retired engineer for Generous Motors, as we called them in Michigan. And Joe Holtzman, our other car fozy on here, one of the others, he is a retired engineer from Ford, who then went into the aerospace business in SoCal before moving to beautiful Estes, Colorado. Joe, it's nice to have you on here. Did you see in the news, this is a Tom's Tangential.
Yeah.
Did you see in the news that Ford has linked up, done a deal with Tesla?
Yes.
And you see what that deal was? So for future EVs, Ford's lost billions on EV production so far, but apparently their future production is going to use the Tesla chargers. Yeah. Which makes a lot of sense. I mean, here's the federal government spending billions of dollars trying to do their own EV system. That'll go like that, what was that Cylinder, that government thing started by the Obama administration to put some kind of solar panels in production. The federal government, they would screw up a wet dream. I mean, they just a piss up in a brewery. I'm sorry. And here the private sector goes out. Ford does a deal with Tesla. Now everybody will follow suit, be using the Tesla chargers, which are already reasonably well spread. The country will have Tesla chargers, just like gas is using the same size nozzles. I wonder when that happened. Clark Chapin, who's a fuel expert, will probably know exactly when that happened. And you know the diesel nozzles are a different size,
Yes.
so you can't put gas in your diesel car, right? Petrol.
That's probably a good idea. Otherwise, it would happen every day.
Exactly. What's next? Getting rid of AM radio, Jonathan Frank. Did you see that? And Ford was going to get rid of AM radio because the government wanted to get rid of AM radio because they apparently don't like AM right-wing talk show hosts. But AM radio is, stereo now, and why get rid of it? I guess everybody is switching to FM.
It works.
Well, you know what the real other problem was? There's a nice picture. I really like that. The other problem is that apparently AM radio gets interfered with by the EV, by the machinery in an electric car. And apparently a lot of people are not listening to AM radio in electric vehicles. Static. I don't know. Clark and Joe, somebody will fill us in on that. One of the other engineers, Stingray,
Yes.
maybe. Stingray says, speaking of whom, am all in for EVs and the ability for them to use all the same systems, just like, I think I just said that, Stingray, but absolutely. Your comment crossed with my comment. Totally agree. With the internet, it will still be available. What's that? It wasn't the federal government, it was the SA, Society of Automotive Engineers, generating an industry standard, which is what they do best. Okay, good. Clark's probably a member of the SAE still.
Yeah.
Any other comments on this? We're kind of bouncing around here. Jody Shields, let's get rid of governments and the world would be great.
Yeah.
You gotta agree with Jody.
Yeah, I mean,
Huh?
who's holding up all the stuff?
I mean,
Yeah.
I've always been a big fan of states' rights and deregulation and decentralization, even in our sport. It's much better when the yacht clubs run the sport and the class associations and people like Emmett and all of the Fozy on here that are doing their thing,
Right.
like Alistair Murray is doing in Australia with all the states there. It's much better than if we try to have one top down. Did you see, speaking of which, did you see the World Sailing Statement from the other day? I didn't even put it in the show. It's so
No,
croutonic I couldn't
didn't
put it
see
in the
it.
show. We told everybody on this show the other day when they said, well, what are they going to do with Belarusian and Russian athletes? And I said, doesn't matter, they'll do whatever the IOC tells them to do. So they had their mid-year meeting, and then they had a board meeting after their mid-year meeting, and they put out this long statement that was the biggest word salad, a gobbledygook, saying, bottom line, we're going to do exactly what the IOC tells us to do. Am I right?
Yeah.
Anybody argue with that? Okay, let's get to the last leg here.
There's-
Beautiful.
I
painting.
know.
Beautiful painting. We're talking about this part of the world a lot right now.
Mhm.
The Last Leg to Gloucester by Thomas Hoyne, that painting from 1982. And this photo came in my email this morning, and I thought it was one of the most gorgeous photos I had seen in a long time.
Yes.
And it's from our Fozy, who's probably on here, Rick
Oh.
Bannero. He
Oh,
may be
yeah.
out on the Long Island Sound now because it is in New York. It's almost 5 o'clock, and they will have started the slower boats on the race out to maybe all the boats by now. The race out to Block Island. It's called the Block Island Race from Stamford, Connecticut, out around to starboard, clockwise around Block Island off the south coast of Rhode Island. But this is not from that race, but Rick's out shooting it, and he's going to give us a report for Tuesday's show on what is one of the most famous East Coast overnight races. This, he says, is on Tuesdays in western Long Island, roughly between Greenwich, I think, and in Stamford, Connecticut, somewhere in that, maybe Norwalk.
It says Stanford.
And he is it's run by Stamford Yacht Club.
Ah.
So it's east and west of Stamford. But these are breakwater irregulars, they call themselves. It's been around for a long time. And basically, your crew, I went onto their website, your crew, and your single-masted monohull sailboat are always welcome to join us, whether you are experts, beginners, or anywhere in between. Some of our most capable crews learn to sail during these races.
That's probably true.
Perfect. a local organization gets together on Tuesday nights. One of the yacht clubs runs the race committee. If U.S. Sailing tried to pull something like this together,
It would take thousands of dollars and hours and hours.
you're so right. And it wouldn't work, or not work as well,
Right.
to be fair.
Yeah.
Now, that came from Rick Bannerow, with whom now you can see me up in the upper right corner there looking like a complete crouton. I'm in my New York Yacht Club bathrobe, as I am on show mornings, in here beavering away. And we had a Fozy FaceTime with Rick Bannerow today after I got this note from him saying, yeah, lots of good photo stuff will be coming off the water today as we have a fair breeze, good light, and a light fetch, meaning, fairly flat seas. Will the breeze swing far enough west for the start of the big boats with spinnakers? It's not his jurisdiction, but I am asking those with better pipelines to put in a good word with the big guy. And I don't think he means Joe Biden. I think he means God with a capital G. So, Julia, if you've got that connection, please do. There, for those of you who are geographically challenged, is Long Island, as they say, and they're starting here in Stamford, as they always do. This is the annual Memorial Day weekend Block Island race run by Storm, the Storm Tricycle Club. Cool organization. They go out clockwise around Block Island and then sail back in and finish here at Stamford. Now, you think that is easy, but you know what? The tide changes. The currents out, especially out here, between Long Island Sound and Block Island Sound, this is called, in Rhode Island Sound. The currents are amazing and swirling, and the wind's shifty, and it's an overnight race, and it's just a fabulous race. I've done it twice, I think. Maybe, twice. And it was first held in 1946, just after World War II. The race also serves as a qualifier for several other things. And it's also the Tuna Trophy, which is the Arthur Wolfschlager Trophy, for the best combined ORC scores in the Edlu, which is another race, and Storm Tricycle Block Island race, which is this race, which runs this weekend. Have fun, stay safe, and we'll get a report. Thank you, Rick Bannerow, for that. We'll get a report from him for Tuesday's show, sometime hopefully over the weekend. The winner of the day, Julia, has to be Holcim-PRB on their record-breaking run. I mean, they've broken more than one record. Bravo, Zulu. Terrific stuff.
Yep.
And as Chris Exley is pointing out, the Fagawi race is also this weekend. Now, you know what the Fagawi is?
I don't.
It's you'd have to give me a finger shake if I explained it to you.
Okay.
It's not that bad. But
it's bad enough not to mention.
Well, no, it's not that bad. We'll cover it on Tuesday. Winners of the day, everybody on board this boat. And, of course, I think Kevin Escoffier was very clever to bring in Charles Caudrelier to bring some more expertise onto this boat. And they're in the lead now. And there's some speculation that if they win this double points race, which this leg is across to Aarhus, that they then
even out.
will win. No, because they're a point ahead right now of Militia and of 11th Hour going into this leg. And I think if they win double points, get 10 points on this leg, I think they may be unassailable short of being flicked from the regatta for bad behavior or something. But regardless, winners of the day, Bravo Zulu to Holcim-PRB. Where the Fagawi? Matt Suzuki's got it. He's watching in front. And the Fagawi race is, it's typically a very foggy race. It's not that bad, Julia. And you say
Andrew told us. Andrew McGivern.
My 159. Well, no, there's a big race. Is it this weekend, Andrew? That's the Myth of Malham race. Good prep for the Fastnet. Yeah, I think they have a record turnout for that race. I was reading, Andrew, for your race over in the RORC. Is that this weekend as well, or is that this coming week? Matt Suzuki, who's, remember Matt from St. Francis when he was here?
Yep.
Living in France now, and he's got the operational. See that? Where the Fagawi. That's how that race, because it's a foggy race. And where the Fagawi is supposedly was uttered by one of the people sailing in the race to his wife or crew, or maybe the wife said it to the husband. I don't know. Winners of the day, the losers of the day. Anybody who's over or not over, under, say what, 55? We might be old, but we had great hair, listened to cool music, and drove the best cars. There's a Mustang that Joe Holtzman, again, speaking of Joe,
Yeah.
who sent this, he worked on the engineering team for that car, I do believe. Anyone younger than, say, what, 55? You're the losers of the day because you didn't grow up when we did and have cool cars and cool hair and cool music.
Yes, I agree with that.
Do you agree with that?
Except I'm a tad older.
Well, but you still grew up in that era. You're over.
Oh, sure.
You
yeah.
are over 55, right?
I am squeaking past.
Oh, gosh. Where the Fagawi? I would like to be permitted to say my own rude word like Jody. Any suggestions? Well, the testicles is not rude. It's a body part like finger, like nose, right? Julia doesn't. I think Julia gets it, Matt. Where the Fagawi? Where the fudge are we? Where the Fagawi? Yes, starts tomorrow morning down to the Eddystone Light and back, Andrew is saying. Do you know where the Eddystone Light is? Do you know the song?
Yes.
My father was, we sing that here at the Beach Street Yacht Club. My
right.
father was the keeper of the Eddystone Light.
Yep.
He slept with the mermaids one fine night. And from this union there came 3, a porpoise and a porgy, and the other was me. That's 3 songs we've sung today, Julie. The people are, I can see people are signing off. The view counter is going down in droves. Replying to Matt Suzuki, in F Troop, the name was changed to the Hilwaukee Tribe. Oh, was there a Fagawi Tribe? It was there. Anyone younger than 55, you're the losers of the day. After all the stuff we've talked about with Tina Turner and the Model T. Well, we're not sure that was so great. Thank you for joining us. It gets us to the finish line. We got a couple of funnies for you in Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. Julie, we got to get this guy on the show. We say that about once a month.
I thought we were told he died.
No, he hasn't died. I went online. He's still around. You told me he had died.
Somebody told me.
He has not died.
Oh, I'm so glad. I'd love to have him.
How many Eddystone lighthouses were there? Okay, let's go to Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. We have, since we're a drinking show with a sailing habit, not so much drinking lately. I might have a slight drinking problem, she says. My husband asked me to toast some bread for him, so I raised my wine glass and said, here's to the bread.
Yes, good luck.
Oh, these are so fun and so simple, just like me. I don't know if I'm fun, but I sure am simple. Why are the shows getting shorter? No particular reason, Julie. But we're too old. We gotta carry on here. We're gonna need our glasses to watch the news, babe. All right, I'll get them. Much better. Cheers. Huh?
Yes.
Okay, Mary Jude sent that. Mary Jude Szymanski, thank you. Funny one. Here's another funny one. Why do you have no fat and no sugar? What do you have? Sorry, with no fat and no sugar. Napkins. That from the aforementioned Joe Holtzman. And then finally, to wrap this one up in honor of Redhead Day, after a grueling and sometimes dangerous 2-hour car chase, the paparazzi finally managed to lose Harry and Meg. Oh, they're just the poor kids. I mean, they're kids. They're getting roasted. They're both in their 30s, aren't they? Isn't she old? Isn't she 38? Isn't she older than he by 3 or 4 years? They're just getting roasted for their croutonicism. There have been 4 lighthouses on the Eddystone Rocks. Winstanley, 2 versions. The second one replaced the top of the structure. Rudyard, Smeaton, and finally the Douglas Lighthouse, which is the present one. Boy, you learned some smart things.
Absolutely. I had no idea.
Holtzman says, I haven't laughed this much in years. Great show. Well, we do like to have fun because we have a great sport and we have a great group of FOSI that keep this show going. We appreciate very much your contributions, including this one from Greg Phillips in Australia. Good night, Matt Suzuki. And Franz, what time is it over there? 23:09. Oh, it's early. You can have a glass of something. Julia, you're a witness.
Yes. your opportunity to like, follow, and share.
Exactly. And of course, comments are welcome, even in replay, because many of you watch, and most of you probably watch in replay. And whether you're watching live or in replay, please give us $1 or $2 or $5 a month. Become a patron, patreon.com/join/Sailing Illustrated to help keep this media supported. We don't have advertisers, so we can say what we mean what we say, and not have to argue with any potential.
Except each other.
Well, we can argue with each other, but everybody's so polite. Another fun and informative show as usual. Ryman saying down in Cape Town. Thanks to all, and prayers to this guy in the small orca bait boat.
Obi.
Tier DeYoung. Yeah, thanks, Tier, down in SoCal, and Jonathan Frank. Yeah, we thought we'd got rid of them. Thank you to everybody who gives us media for today's show, and there's a long list, including any number of the FOSI. And just a reminder that on Tuesday, this is going to be a fun show. I'm really looking forward to this. Next Tuesday, show number 622 with John Burbeck of the Cruising Association. He will be joining us, and thanks again to their PR, Louisa Smith, longtime friend in the UK, for putting us together with John. She is the PR for the Cruising Association, and he's going to tell us everything he knows about orca behavior and so on, including safety advice, deterrent measures. That should be fun. Yes. Julia, last thoughts?
Fun show.
It was fun. And it's still, bloody hell, it's still an hour and 11 minutes. It's 14:11 here.
Yeah.
Time for some breakfast.
Good idea.
I can have some breakfast. Thanks, everybody. Hope to see you on Tuesday. Same time, same channel. In the meantime, sail fast, sail safe, and have fun. Ciao for now. Oh, good heavens. Julie Aaron says that we have managed not to say bad stuff about Grant Dalton for 3 shows in a row.
We don't need to.
Well, yeah, we don't need to. We'll try to make up for it in the next show, Julie. Just teasing.
I'd like to hear him talk about it.
Let's see if we get him on the show.
Yeah.
Julie, tee us up.